Good afternoon and welcome to Patriot Paths. My name is Lake Green, and today we are at Private Michael Field Memorial Park in Colts Neck, New Jersey, Monmouth County, to check out a lonely grave of a local American Revolutionary War patriot. Let's check it out. So this is pretty much it. It's a very small, quaint little piece of land. It's very nice to see that it is upkept and professionally done. Paved. You know, there's flower beds. This is very nice. They made a little park. We're on Hires Mills Road in Colts Neck, not far from the municipal building. Whole bunch of vinca flowers appear to be planted here. There's a sign that says, little marker, it says Private Michael Field Memorial Park. This land provided through the kindness of Frank K. here. And so behind me is the grave of Private Michael Field. And the story behind Mr. Field goes that on June 28, 1778, the Battle of Monmouth was, of course, fought at Monmouth Courthouse, modern-day Manalapan and Freehold, New Jersey. The battle was the last major battle fought in northern soil. If you want to learn more about the battle's details, why it was significant, what happened that day, you can consult one of my videos on Monmouth Courthouse and the Battle of Monmouth. The whole reason the British and the Americans fought at Monmouth and Freehold in the first place was because the British had captured the city of Philadelphia from the Americans, the American capital of the time, in the fall of 1777, the previous year. They realized that the city was kind of a hollow prize, right? They hadn't really gained anything out of it. The American army was still alive and well and in standing condition. They weathered the winter at Valley Forge. The British had lost in upstate New York at Saratoga, and General John Burgoyne's army had been defeated. So they captured Philadelphia. William Howe captured Philadelphia with his force, but it was a hollow prize. So they realized, not only are we here and we're vulnerable to attack, now the French Navy is in the war involved. They're worried about the French sailing up the Delaware River and bottling them up in Philly. They were moved far away from their base, their supplies in New York City. So they have to evacuate Philly by the summer of 1778. There's no reason for them to stay there. So the British begin to evacuate Philadelphia in late May, early June 1778. Many British soldiers, now under the command of the army of Sir Henry Clinton, evacuate by sea through the Delaware River. They load up on boats. But a lot of Tories, locals that are, prominent members of society that remain loyal to the crown at this time, also go with them on those boats. There's not enough room for all British soldiers to return via sea, and many are forced to march across the state of New Jersey from Philly. And that is why the Battle of Monmouth happens in June 1778, because the British Army is marching across New Jersey, South Jersey, West Jersey, Central Jersey, whatever you want to call it. They're marching from Philly, trying to make their way to Sandy Hook, which is probably about 25 minutes up the road here from Colts Neck. And really not that far from Monmouth Courthouse, Freehold at all. And so the American Army, as well as members of the New Jersey Militia, local patriot farmers, local citizens of the state that are loyal to the American cause of independence, that are willing to fight, harass, and clash with the British for weeks. This all comes to a head at Monmouth Courthouse on June 28, 1778. The two sides fight basically to a standstill. It's really a moral victory for the Americans, kind of a technical victory because the British do continue on their retreat and abandon the battlefield. The Americans are left holding the field. In 18th century terms, that's kind of how you define who won a battle. Whoever is left in control of the field, the Americans were. The British continue to retreat up the road from Freehold, and essentially as the British continue on with their retreat up the road from Freehold, members of the local militia units and elements of the Continental Army continue to harass them. One unit is the Monmouth County Militia, 1st Regiment, under the command of Colonel Asher Holmes. These men are locals, mostly locals from Monmouth County, farmers, shopkeepers, local Patriot citizens that are willing to fight and possibly die for their freedom. They do so. They attack the British baggage train as the British Army retreats up the road. The British turn to defend their baggage train. A skirmish ensues, and several people are killed and wounded. One of these individuals is buried behind me, and that is Private Michael Field. He fell in the line of duty at the age of only 20 years old, it appears, in the service of his country as a member of the New Jersey State Militia, Monmouth County Regiment, 1st Regiment. So let's check out his grave and honor him. So this wrought iron marker, this little wrought iron enclosure with the stone, the original headstone, was placed here years later after his death in commemoration of Mr. Field, probably by family members. And for the longest time, this is all wooded now, but this was actually a farmer's field. It's hard to believe, for many years. And so this was like a local oddity, I've been told, because at one time all of this was farmland. I mean, it's hard to tell now, probably about 100 years ago, a little more. But, you know, this guy's headstone, this burial site was here, and the farmer would just grow his crops all around it. So imagine that. Imagine living around here and you see somebody operating a farm and there's just a cemetery, a little headstone, little burial plot right in the middle of a field. Kind of creepy, right? But this is, it's hard to see. I'll try to read these words. It's hard to see because of the iron fence, but I'll read them my best I can. And the sun is glaring. So this is to mark the spot where lie the remains of Michael Field, who was slain by the enemy in their retreat from the Battle of Monmouth, June 29th, 1778. So, about a day after the battle ended, they continued their retreat up the roads, which would make sense, as the British retreat in the night of June 28th from Monmouth Courthouse, Englishtown, Manalapan. And the next day there's skirmishes, and Mr. Field is among those who perished. So here's a more modern marker. Private Michael Field, 1st Regiment, New Jersey Militia, born in Bound Brook, New Jersey, August 30th, 1758, son of Benjamin and Margaret Field, wounded and captured in the Battle of Monmouth Courthouse, left in this area by the British in their retreat. Whether he died of his wounds or was slain by his captors is not known. Died June 28th, 1778. See, so now these dates are conflicting, and we'll get to that in a second. It does make sense. There are conflicting reports about the fate of Private Field. More people have said that there was a skirmish here on the 29th, the day after the battle, when the British continued to retreat towards Sandy Hook. This was their line of retreat. The British marched up these roads heading towards Sandy Hook to get back to New York. And it would make perfect sense that militia units would lead the skirmishes that would attack the rear of the British column and the baggage train. So it's very likely that Private Field could have been killed in these skirmishes on the 29th of June. But then there also is the rumor that, which is on the more modern marker, that Private Field was captured on June 28th by the British, wounded, and then left to die on the road as they retreated. So it is not really known how, definitively known, how Private Field met his end. But nonetheless, God bless him. Private Field, may you rest in peace. And may we remember all of the patriots who gave their lives and sacrificed so much so that we could have an independent country. Thank you so much for watching. This has been a brief little video on the kind of lonely, but at least recognized, grave of a local young New Jersey militia patriot who died in the aftermath of the Battle of Monmouth, June 28th, 29th, 1778. Private Michael Field gave his life at 20 years old. May he rest in peace. Thank you so much for watching. Rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time on Patriot Paths. I'm Lake Green.